All right, so this is introduction to our assignment that has to do with conceptual shapes. So I have my thumbnails here and I will have to make more as well, but these are at least a starting point. I also just have some computer paper that I can jot down different types of words or gestures, small thumbnails before I go to these other thumbnails. So the concept behind this assignment is to work with either words, lyrics from songs, concepts, or just straight go into creating a piece and then having a word or a title behind that afterwards. So we are going to be creating non-representational shapes. Non-representational is one of our vocabulary words that means something that is not recognizable, that we do not normally see or associate as something that we're familiar with. So that would be shapes, patterns, designs, exactly what we're focusing on for this particular assignment. So what I can do is start with my own self, different things that I feel. It could be my emotions, it could be likes or dislikes. It could be really anything that you want to go with. So I'm going to go ahead and go with isolation. I'm just going to go with that word just because the way that things have been going. I'm going to go ahead and write isolation here. The idea of having to separate ourselves, how society is, and so maybe that's a reflection on me personally, or maybe just as a whole of how I think about what is happening in our current world. So for isolation, there's so many different ways to interpret this concept, this word, and there's really no wrong or right way, and that's what's really fun about this assignment. We're diving straight into the deep end, and we're going to create a piece that maybe only you and I will know until we share with others, then they'll understand the concepts behind it. So when you think about it, I have an empty sheet of paper. We're just going to focus on this small thumbnail right now because eventually it'll be put into a large sheet of paper. And I could think about, do I want to put it horizontal? Right now it's in vertical format. If I turn it around, it could just be horizontal. And again, I'm just focusing on this small thumbnail, imagining this is my large sheet of paper. Also, it's a large white space. Isolation is something that's separate from another, right? So maybe to give that concept, maybe I would draw a small little shape in a midst of a whole empty negative space of white. That could give the viewer a sense of separation or loneliness or just isolation, as I've been saying, or maybe other things too. Again, these are just some ideas that are coming up from the top of my mind. So if I want to do just a quick thumbnail, I can go ahead and make a small little shape here. Maybe it's going to be a circle. Maybe it's going to be a little chaotic. And I'll go ahead and just color it in right now with my pencil. This is more of a organic form, kind of irregular in shape. So this idea of wanting to expand or get out, or even the idea of screaming, but separated from the rest of maybe society or just regular lifestyles that we were used to. Now this is very conceptual, right? If anyone was to look at this, they would have so many different interpretations. But this is what it means to me, and that's what's important for you as an artist, what it means to you, and then you would just share that with the rest of the class and title it. So I'm going to go ahead and say this shape is cool. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and now remake it over here. I'm going to keep it at the bottom just so I could see all the negative space surrounding. I can choose to put it in the center. That can have a different concept too of meeting my full surroundings. This looks a little more overwhelming perhaps because of all this empty space. Again, you can just read so many different ideas into it. So I'll keep the shape over here. And I know it changed a little bit. Then I'm going to go ahead and color it in with my Sharpie, my twin tip Sharpie. Now what's neat about this is going to start mimicking how we're going to make our final pieces with the cut paper. So this mimics the idea of a white sheet of paper, and this is my black cutout sheet of object, my object. Okay, so here's my first concept, isolation. As I continue on, one of my favorite seasons is autumn. I really enjoy that, so fall. Now, when you think about autumn and fall, we automatically might think about leaves falling, right? Changing of the colors. Now, we are only strictly working with a black Sharpie and a white sheet of paper, so we're limited in our color palette, which is really fun to work with that challenging concept. Again, I have a vertical picture plane. I could do a horizontal picture plane. I can do the idea of leaves. Now, we have so many different leaves that come from the desert. These are kind of just more of a typical kind of cookie cutter idea of a leaf, maybe not ones that we're connected to, but that's too literal right now. So if I were to use these leaves, yes, they are more stylized, they have a little more abstracted look, but they still give the idea of a leaf, and we want to push away to get non-representational. So to abstract this down, or to make it look more non-rep, I'm going to go ahead and make another thumbnail here. Maybe I would change the leaves, so I would have one large leaf where you only see a portion of it. And I might have some negative space in here, so meaning I would cut out this would be my black paper when we do the final product. This would be the white sheet of paper underneath with the white paper here. Then I might have a different leaf, and I'll go ahead and make that abstracted one, but I'm going to connect it and do that same concept. And then I may have another leaf that's sort of connected to it again, and just the idea of piling. So all these different shapes. Now this looks very different and unusual, and there's so many different ways I can go about this. This is only one concept. Say I'm happy with this. I'm gonna go ahead and tell myself what I'm going to make black, what I'll keep white. Now, if I were to make all of these black, I'm gonna lose all these little shapes of leaves. So I need to decide, maybe I'll make some black, some white, and some will just be like an outline. So I'll make a thick outline around it. Then I would redraw it here, same concept, and that would be then my other piece. So if I were to draw that out, the concept behind this as well is to try to make all your blacks touch, the black shapes meaning. Okay. And also too, as you're working on this, maybe all of a sudden you're not happy with it. I'm gonna write down here fall, by the way. And these are leaves. Just in case if I forget to, and then I can also let the viewer know, because we will be having our critique and you wanna have a title behind the work. If for some reason I'm not happy with this, I can always change it if I'd like. I can readjust it when I'm actually finishing the product. But this would be the concept again. I'm coloring it in. You want your thumbnails to look pretty polished, meaning finished little works of art, because it will really help when you do the final piece to see what you think about it. And if it's going to work for your larger scale works. Okay, and I would continue on to go ahead and color that in. Again, this will help me see and understand. One of the main areas is you want to have versatility. So you don't want to have everything look the same, meaning you want to have geometric, you want to have organic shapes, you want to have negative and positive, so where you have shapes that cut into one another. Just a versatility is important. So in this case, I have my items that are fairly large. They're taking up the full picture plane at a diagonal. I have one object that's very small into one of the corners. Maybe I would make one up higher next time. Maybe I would make one with stripes on the other area. So just this idea that you want to have, again, stuff that looks different. You want to use your different vocabulary terms for this as well. For example, this one would probably be a focal point. Because there's so much negative space, it really forces, again, if we're just looking at this one, it really forces the viewer just to look at this one space too. Scale is being played with, so I have a small scale object. This one could be repetition. So I have repetition of shape in here. Organic form is also utilized. I have implied line, which is a strong dynamic line or diagonal line. And you can pull more from there as well. Okay, so these are our thumbnails for our project that we are going to be working on. Thank you.